Joining me on my show today, I'm really excited to be joined by Gabe Tuft. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Appreciate it.
Perfect. So it's kind of a weird time for everyone at the minute, isn't it? Are you in lockdown as well where you are?
Not as much as the rest of the world. Texas has been really, I guess, kind of leading the charge for reopening. So we're already on to phase two, and it's kind of cool. Gyms are going to open hopefully on the 18th. So we're getting back to what I think might be normal.
Which everyone can't wait to get back to. It's kind of been a stressful time, hasn't it? And a terrible time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Not just for us, but I'm sure for everybody. I mean, it's been strange to say the least.
Now, a lot of us here in the UK will know you for your time, as a wrestler when you wrestled against under the name Tyler Reks. Now, I wanted to actually go back to the very beginning for you, which is how you actually became involved with wrestling. How did that actually all come about?
Oh man, that was it was interesting because I was not even a wrestling fan at the time when the opportunity arose. I watched as a kid, like most guys. We watch when we're kids and we play on jumping off the bed and all that kind of stuff. It was the time of like Hogan and Macho Man and Brutus the Barber. So I had my young time with that, and then in my teenage years I stopped watching, and I hadn't watched since I was, I want to say like 12 years old. And we were in Southern California, living in this little sleepy beach city called San Clemente. And we met a guy named Rick Bassman. Rick was the owner of Ultimate Pro Wrestling. And so you probably know UPW fairly well. He found Cena, found Sting, found Ultimate Warrior. He's produced a lot of the top talents over the years. But I didn't know that about Rick. I knew nothing. He owned a dojo, so he was doing mixed martial arts, and he had kind of a small gym there, and we had a personal training center that was just a private PT center. So my wife and I went down to chat with him when he decided to open his dojo. Say, hey man, we're close by. We're not really competitors, but can we kind of work together and make sure that we don't step on each other's toes? And so we had a cool business relationship, and we became really good friends. So this one day, I would surf all the time in SoCal. I would be in the water like 2 or 3 times a day. I'd finished a session, and I was literally, I think it was a Saturday, and I was up at my house just kind of kicking back watching TV, and I get a call from Rick, and he says, hey Gabe, I know you really aren't into the whole wrestling thing. He goes, I work with WWE, and I've got some scouts here now. He goes, you want to just come over to the gym and just have a look? He goes, just no pressure, just come on over and let the guys look at you. He goes, they may think you're marketable. The worst thing that happen is that they make you an offer or something. Okay, man, no problem. So I'll come over. And so I got jeans and flip flops and like a tank top on, and I literally his gym was a 5-minute walk from my house. So I walked down to the gym and I opened the door, and there's like 40 dudes in full gear, like in the ring, bumping around, and I'm just like, what the hell did I just walk into? I had no idea what I was doing there. And at that point, the guys that were there was actually Mike Gucci was there with Johnny Ace, and Mike pulls me in the back and with a couple of other guys that were in my similar situation. He's like, look, dude, we know you don't know anything about what's going on. Because we think you guys are all marketable. You might have potential, so just go check out tonight, and then tomorrow we'll put you in the ring and see if we got 2 left feet. And so that's basically what happened. So we watched that night, kind of got an idea of like what was going on. And for a guy that just hadn't seen wrestling since he was a kid, it was just mind blowing. Like just to be up close with all these guys like in full gear and just them bumping in the ring, and that was about it, man. That's how it started.
And then obviously you went through a year or so at the developmental stages at the WWE. So that must have been good for you that they kind of really had faith in you. They've looked at you and thought we could do something with this guy. And then you went through the stages of working was it in Florida? You were working, yes. So how was that time for you? That kind of year where you were training and wrestling people?
It was very interesting, man. I went from, again, knowing nothing about the world of wrestling, and before I got signed, it's probably important to say that they sent me for a tryout. They said I did great. They said train with Rick for a year, so I did that, and then they signed me. And then they sent me to Tampa. And even still, like Rick's UPW was almost completely disbanded when I was training there. It was me and a couple of guys. I mean, you could literally count them on one hand how many guys were training there. So when I got to Florida, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't really know much about I had a little bit of idea of the etiquette backstage. So it was just a crazy experience, man. It was, the guys from OVW were just coming over shortly after I got there. So there was this big clash when I got there as well, but it was different. It was different. So many things I didn't know, you know, just every bit of like wrestling terminology. And I was, of course, like I was looked at as, oh, here's another body guy who doesn't know anything about the industry. So we're just going to write him off right away. So that was the attitude that I had to kind of not fight through, but just kind of earn my stripes, I guess you could say, or to just be accepted. And I took the approach of just trying to be humble and like, hey guys, look, I don't know anything. I just want to learn. And that was my attitude the whole time. And so I think I went over pretty good. Like I made a bunch of friends pretty quick. Rick Lawn, who is Ezekiel Jackson, he was a buddy from the beginning, him and Brian Kelly. And we would carpool together daily. And so they would just like rib me every single day, just from everything. I mean, you name it, I was getting ribbed for whatever, for wearing the wrong shoes or like wearing the wrong color shirt. Just, you know, Rick would make up a bunch of garbage. Just have me walking in like all scared and shaking. But it was a good time.
And the thing is, in wrestling, it's a strange one because, like you said, there's a lot that goes with it because those are people that have earned their stripes and worked their way in the indie shows. There's a kind of a way of doing it, and there's a rule, and you know the way you have to respect the people that have worked in it longer, and that must be a bit daunting for you when you've come in and you've kind of been pushed, into the show, and you don't, like you just said, didn't know a lot about it, so it must have been daunting.
It was. There's no way to prepare you for that. So it's one of those, feet in the fire, you either sink or swim kind of deal. And the guys that weren't able to tread water, they got cut really quick. It was obvious. Yeah. So it's just, you deal with it and you figure it out and you make your friends. And for the most part, I think throughout my whole experience there, we had guys come and going the whole time. And the guys that wanted to learn, that were humble, they stuck around. And the guys that just had attitudes that thought they were, the cream of the crop, the second they walked in the door, they didn't last very long.
And you also had some time in ECW as well. Now I wanted to ask, did you love that as a kid? Because imagine, if that was one of your favorite promotions and then years later you're actually wrestling for that promotion. So were you a fan when you were growing up?
No, I wasn't. And that ECW became huge right after I stopped watching wrestling. So it wasn't any more to me than just a blip in history. So I had to go study up and see what I was missing. Yeah. So like guys like, Tommy Dreamer, I was like, who's Tommy? When I got there, this guy, half the guys look at me and like, hey, who's this guy? What is wrong with you, dude? How do you not know this? I'm like, I'm just being honest, man. I'm sorry. So, but it was great to be a part of it. Once I did my, my research, my history, and I figured out, all these things. But by the time I got called up to TV, I was pretty much caught up on everything. And I had a great feel and respect for the business. I understood who the players were and I knew all their history. So yeah, man, to be a part of ECW, especially before it got the axe, that was really cool. Even if it was a small initiative and we only had a small amount of time on it, it was really cool to be a part of that and to just kind of have a little place in wrestling history.
It must have been terrifying when you done your research and noticed that people were on fire in the ring, there were thumbtacks, there were blood. You must have kind of thought, I don't want anything to do with this.
You're going to ECW. I'm like, okay, cool. Barbed wire and razor blades. Let's go, man. Cut this career short.
And when you actually transitioned over to the main roster in WWE, that must have been a kind of a vote of confidence for you that, look, they're giving you the opportunity to showcase what you're about. So when they spoke to you and said, look, you're going to be going over to the main roster, can you remember that feeling? Were you excited at the time?
I was. It was really exciting. There's I don't know how they do it now in developmental, but there's just kind of a path you follow. So typically guys that get called up, who they are because they're main eventing the matches in FCW or in FCW, which is now I can't even think of what it's called over in Orlando, the training center. So they're main eventing, or they're the ones that just are chosen to work with the new guys to help them along, or to make sure that people have good matches. Like who the good talent is, and so when you're in that kind of advanced areas, you go through the ranks. You start at the bottom. You open some shows and you just do battle royals, that kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, I still suck. I don't think there was ever a point when I didn't suck, but you kind of expect like and hope that you get the call. And so when we got the call, it was me, Yoshi, Sheamus had been on the road for a little bit. Guys like Johnny Prime, I think Curtis, Fandango got the call about the same time too, and we all went up and were just on the road for a while.
Yeah.
And we were, I think I might have had a dark match. No, I don't even think I had a dark. I never did a dark match before I got pushed out on TV. We were on the road, literally there. I think we were like 2-3 months on the road of just getting called up every week. And we go and we practice with the agents before the show would start, and they just help us out. And we try to figure out where we fit and try not to piss off somebody that week, just being the green guys. And then one day, randomly, Mark Carrano walks up to us and was like, okay, Yoshi, Sheamus, Rex, and I think it was Drew too, McIntyre's like, all right, you guys you're on ECW tonight, and it's your show. So here's the ball, don't drop it. We're like, what? Like, no dark matches for like any of it. Well, Sheamus had a couple. I didn't have any. Yoshi didn't have any. Like, I'm going out on TV. I don't know what to expect. This is crazy, dude. So it was super exciting. And it was really nerve-wracking at the same time. So I didn't know how the crowd was going to respond. I remember walking out on the stage too, and I was a surfer guy in ECW with like board shorts and my dreads and everything. And sometimes I come out with like puka shells just to further the gimmick.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is Johnny goes, "Yeah, you're wearing trunks." I'm like, what? He's like, "Yeah, you're wearing trunks. You're not coming out in shorts." So my first time, on TV, I had to like take the shorts off, put on trunks, and like no puka shell, no nothing. They just shoved me out there, and I'm like, "Hey guys, what's up?" Silence as I walk down the ramp. Well, that's not good. So yeah, it's nerve-wracking, man. It's super nerve-wracking, but I'll never forget just walking out and seeing the lights and just the sea of heads in the crowd. And even though there was no response because they didn't know who I was, it was just still a major rush to know that all eyes are on you at that moment. And it's like, this is my moment that I've been waiting for.
And a lot of us will know you from, you had a stint as a tag team with Curt Hawkins as well.
I did, yeah.
So how did that come about? Did you guys just have a natural chemistry that they kind of saw backstage and thought you two need to work together?
We had a natural chemistry, but they didn't ask us to work together.
Okay.
We had both been demoted to ECW, or was it NXT? Sorry, it's been it's been like almost 10 years. What are the names of these shows? That, and I hit my head a lot, so I don't remember much. So we've been demoted to NXT, and this is before NXT was what it is now. And it was like the C show. It was the internet show before the internet was a thing. Like, Johnny and Vince were just like, the internet's bad. I don't know about this YouTube stuff, man. This is, every thought I was going to get fired because he was putting up stuff on YouTube. That's how sketch the internet was. So if you were demoted to NXT, it was like, oh, this is where wrestlers go to die. And so we're just like, okay, we're probably going to get fired unless we can figure something out. So Hawkins and I think we had a match against each other. We were in a couple tag matches against each other. We randomly got paired up one night, and we looked at each other. We're like, hey, that worked out pretty good, man. You want to try to see if we can do another one? Yeah, let's do it. So we pitched to do another one, and then pitched to do another one. And they just kept throwing us out there, and we had really good chemistry. And we both gave zero you-know-whats about getting fired at that point, like, because nobody was listening to us. Like, didn't matter what we said. Vince didn't even watch NXT. The producers would write stuff and like, here you go have fun. And like, nobody watched it. So we're like, whatever, let's do whatever we want. And so we built this really good chemistry. We had good chemistry before because he was down at FCW for quite a while, doing whatever it would take for him to get back on TV. So we were buddies from that. But everything just seemed to flow really good in the ring. And he knew that I didn't have the experience he did. And I was still, for the most part, green. So he was able to design, spots and matches. I mean, he has this incredible brain for putting matches together. It's amazing. I think him and TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd, like the two best brains for putting matches together. It's amazing. And to be a part of that and to watch, and I would make suggestions and he would fire back with something that was like better. Like, instead of doing this, maybe we do this, and he would explain why. So he was like a mentor to me at the same time. And it was amazing, man.
Do you keep in contact with him now?
I do, actually. He was texting me this morning just saying hi. So
Nice.
like literally. He's a great guy, man. Just good heart, good person, you know. So he had a good run too. I wish it would have lasted longer. Him and Ryder getting back together was pretty awesome. I know that like I was the redheaded girlfriend or something in the middle, keeping them apart. So I was like, you know, when I split, I knew it was going to happen eventually. So I think me and then the rest of the roster, along with the rest of the world, was ready to see that, and I thought it was pretty cool.
And it was just good to watch because you were kind of the naughty guys on the show because no one could control you. You were threatened to get suspended all the time by William Regal. He had to really kind of get you guys just to calm down a bit. So it looked like you had fun with it as well.
We did, and that was part of you know, that's a really cool life lesson I learned. Just not caring what other people think, and for so long in our training, we were groomed to be so humble and don't get any heat, and you shut your mouth, and you know, you do what you're told, and then you care about what other people think because that's how you progress. Yeah. And when Hawkins and I just realized, look, we might be getting fired tomorrow or the next day, so like we're gonna do whatever we want. I don't care. Like they would hand us a microphone. I remember there was an NXT episode where they literally just planned for us to have like a 5-minute shoot, like, hey, say whatever you want. And so him and I wrote this like really really awesome promo where we just kind of just said everything on our mind. Like we kind of told them what we were going to say in bullet points, but we didn't tell them what we were going to say. And we each sat on a turnbuckle with the mics, and we just shot for like 5 minutes. And I remember seeing like, take it home, take it home, take it home. We're like, we're just going to keep going. So you take the mics out of our mouth, and we just didn't care. And it had a great response. And that was how we kind of operated from that point on. It was like, you know what, we're just going to sneak stuff in. If they say no, we're just going to do it anyway. Or we're going to find a way to do what we want. And the more we did that, the more we realized that is what built our characters. And that's what gave us confidence to understand you got input from sometimes 5 or 6 different people. And, you know, they all have their own idea of what's a good match or what we should be doing for our character. And we just were like, no, we're going to experiment. We're going to figure it out. Like that really helped us to understand who we were, our character, and just built a ton of confidence in what we did.
Do you know, for me, one of my favorite pay-per-views is the Royal Rumble. It's just exciting. I love it when the clock counts down, the music hits. Of course, you had a Royal Rumble moment. You came out as an entrant in 2011. So when they came to you and said, look, you're going to be a Royal Rumble contender, were you kind of just losing your head? Because there couldn't be any more excitement than being in a Rumble, surely.
I was shocked. I'm like, wow, this is a killer opportunity. I'm like, I'm in the Rumble. Well, okay, let's do it. So it was a really cool. I remember being so excited about that. Yeah, it was awesome.
And do you just like literally wait behind the curtain and knowing the clock's ticking down, waiting for your music to hit, and just sprint down to the ring?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's basically it. Like you know what you're doing. You got an idea of what's going on, but it's like you're there in gorilla position, and next there's just a line of dudes out there. You're like, all right, you know, everybody's in line, and it's like boom, go, boom, go, boom, go. Like, you know, you're standing there like, oh man, how am I going to do this, or what do I want to do to stand out and be different? And just it's an awesome experience. Just watch that clock. Just 5, 4, 3, 2, boom, you're up.
Yeah,
your turn, your moment. Mine was really short though.
Of course, you can't get a bigger show than WrestleMania, and I think if anyone can be part of WrestleMania, that must be something you'll remember for life. So, what's your experience with WrestleMania? Do you have fun memories?
I do. I was in a couple of them. Not no major matches. We always did the pre-show. We were always part of the Battle Royal, which for me, hey, that was fine, and it was awesome. My favorite one was Phoenix. We had, I think it was 83,000 people.
Wow.
At the arena, and I remember the ramp was just like a football field long. It was so long, and they were walking us down. You go for the Royal Rumble. Not the Royal Rumble. I'm sorry, the Battle Royal. Walking us down for the Battle Royal. They're like go, and we just walk out. I remember I stepped out and I looked, and it seemed like a mile to the ring, and I just thought to myself, if it's that far, like how many people here? And I remember looking up. And it's one thing to be in an arena with you know, 6,000 people or 10,000 people, and you know, you can still see the faces. At a certain point though, with 83,000 people, you look up and it's just dots, and it's just this roar of energy that you can feel, and it's the first match of the night. They've been waiting, you know, this entire time. They've gone through the access matches. Everybody is so excited for this, and you can feel it. It's like palatable. You can feel the energy. And so I just remember walking down the ramp just thinking, this could be one of the coolest moments of my life right now. Like, how many people get to say that they're in WrestleMania in front of 83,000 people on a pay-per-view, even if it was the pre-show. But it was fun. And the crazy part is too, we were so, that was a good point for me and Hawkins, because we still were like in the I don't really care mode. And it's like, you know, if they watch it, cool. If they don't, I'm sure Vince is busy. He's focusing on the bigger matches. So everybody in that battle royal knew that like it was time to just have fun, like be serious, but have fun. And I remember Kane and I were just cracking jokes in the ring and, you know, giving like nut shots here and there too. Just things like make guys like try to get them to laugh. I'm like, hey dude, we're at WrestleMania. This should be fun, you know? So it was awesome. It was really cool.
What was your relationship like with John Cena?
Well, it's pretty well known that it wasn't a good relationship. I had some not so good moments with him. If you want me to talk about him, I can. If you just want to know the general, we didn't get along, we can just say that too. It's totally up to you.
Because I wonder, you know, if you didn't get along, because your paths didn't cross in my mind too often in the sense of on shows. So where did that kind of come from or originate from you both?
Where did our bad relationship come from?
Yeah.
It started when I got drafted to Raw, and it was all about me using a finisher that looked similar to his. And the interesting part was when I was being brought up as this, you know, when Tyler Reks was first introduced as a heel, I came out for the bragging rights deal, and I took Cabal's spot. He had just done a match against Big Show. I came out and I was like, I want your spot. He got cocky, said, yeah, let's do it. So we had the match. I took his spot. Nobody ever really seen this character before. But before that happened, we were practicing in front of all the agents like usual before the show, and Arn Anderson was my agent. And he said, hey, Rex, what's your finisher? He said, oh, I'm using the Burning Hammer. And so basically it's like an inverted FU, flip them over, but I sit out with a DDT. Okay. You know, it's nowhere near the same. Personally, I think it's way cooler. But Goldust was like, hey, I'll take it for you. And we did it in front of everybody. And Cena was sitting right there. Everybody goes, oh, God, dude, you okay, Dust? I was like, yeah, man, it's easy, no problem. And then I don't remember who it was that had the earpiece on, but I don't remember who said it. They're like, okay, Vince likes it. He says use it. Okay, cool. So Vince approved it. You know, nobody said anything. Like Cena was sitting there, Arn was there. We probably had 20 guys ringside when I did it, and Vince approved it. So I used it for, you know, 6 months or something when I was on SmackDown. I used it in the bragging rights match, literally sitting across the ring from, I think I did it 2 feet from Cena when I eliminated Santino. So nobody said anything then. I was in multiple, man, we were in a lot of pay-per-views where it happened, and I used it in a lot of matches where he was there watching and never once said anything. So I get drafted to Raw, and I think it was the first loop, actually. We did the first house show loop. I had a match with Eddie Klum, who was Primo, and I was going over, so we were going to use my finisher. We went out there, we did it. Something happened in the mix where Eddie wasn't looking straight up in like moonsault form, and he was kind of on his side, and when I flipped him over, it kind of ended up looking like an FU. I was like, oh, crap. So we walk backstage. Cena looks at me in front of the boys like, might have to find you another finisher, dude. And I looked him dead in the eyes like, hey, man, sorry. I know we kind of screwed it up tonight. It didn't come out the way it should have. We'll get it right tomorrow. So, okay, cool. Like that was the extent of everything we talked about. So Primo and I went out and did the same match. And I remember Eddie going, should we change the finisher, Gabe? And I said, I don't think so, man. I think it's just because we hit it wrong. Let's make sure we hit it right tonight so it doesn't look anything like his, and it should be okay. So we did it. No agent said at any point, hey, Gabe, Cena wants you to change his finisher. Cena never came up and said, hey, don't use that finisher tonight. Yeah. We did it. I came backstage, and he just starts yelling at me in front of all the guys. Like, wow. You know, he just is like, what did I have to tell you last night? No, you can't hear, you deaf? I was like, whoa, man, what's wrong? And He goes, I told you to find another finisher. Just, just starts yelling at me and degrading me like I was a 6-year-old kid. And I was like, hey man, I'm so sorry. Like, I honestly think this is just a miscommunication. He just kept going in front of everybody. And at one point I just walked out. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I thought I was going to quit.
Yeah.
And, that call. Sorry guys. I thought I was going to quit like right then and there. And I walked in, I'm like, nah, let's go talk to him. Like, maybe it's just a misunderstanding. And he was heated. So I walked back and he was kind of peeking through the curtain watching the match. And I literally got down on like one knee alongside him, like, hey John, man, I really think this was a miscommunication. And he just looks over at me and just digs into me again. Like, are you effing stupid? Boom, 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 boom. Just, all right, I'll just find something else, man. No big deal. And that, things circulate really quick with wrestlers. And so by the time we got to Raw, like everybody from the top down, like, oh, Reks was using this finisher and Cena told him to change it. I remember at one point, Michael Hayes just looked at me and like, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you change your finisher? I'm like, what happened, man? So, it happened and I was just like, okay, so I found another finisher and I just didn't really talk to him after that. When Hawkins and I teamed back up, or when we teamed up and we were having trouble kind of staying on TV, Hawkins had this killer idea. And him and John got along really well. Right. And so his idea was to get fired as a storyline. And then what would happen is we would get fired and we would start sneaking back in the arena. So one week we would have a sign in the audience and like the camera would zoom in on us and they look, oh, what are Reks and Hawkins doing? And then we get ejected. And the next week we sneak in again and we're a little closer, and it basically works down to us getting down to the ring, dressed up as janitors, doing a run-in on, I think it was Kofi at the time or whoever it was. And so he goes, we need to talk to somebody about this. So he goes, I want to talk to John. I'm like, oh dude, I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, let's just talk to him. So we went and talked to him and John had a good conversation with us. He was like, this is a killer idea, man. This is great. Can you put all this on a DVD? Go to Brawler right now in the promo room. And can you put this on a DVD? Yeah, let's do it. So we put it all on a DVD. We cut some promos kind of outlining what we wanted to do. Got it all done in a night. And he goes, get me that CD. He takes the CD. He goes, I'm on the jet with Vince tonight, and we're going to talk about it. I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. So next week, like, hey, John, how'd it go? He's like, well, pretty good. Let's see what happens. Okay, cool. So, like, guess who got fired the next week on Raw? It was Miz and Truth. and we kind of look at each other like, this is a lot like what we just pitched. And we went to John, like, hey, John, this looks a lot like what we just gave you on a DVD. Did we just get screwed? He's like, no. Don't even worry about it. This is something totally different. Okay, because it looks like that's the storyline we just pitched that nobody's done ever, and it's being done, so it's not going to be as cool when we do it. Like, no. Then the next week, the storyline progressed, and it was basically our pitch, but with Is and Truth, with John as the main, with the guy who got jumped at the end. And we had a term that we used called being Burchelled, because Paul Burchell would pitch stuff all the time, and creative would just take it and wouldn't give it to him, they give it to somebody else. And we just asked Cena, we're like, at one point, we're 3 weeks into this thing that is obviously our pitch, and Hawkins goes, yo, Cena, did we just get Burchelled? He's like, yeah, you did. Blatantly telling us that he stole our stuff and used it and just left us at the bottom. We're like, cool, man, I'm definitely never talking to you again. But, I think the thing is, people always thought I was angry, and at that time I was bitter.
Yeah.
Like, those are my opportunities. I didn't deserve that. But my outlook is different now. There's been a lot of growth since I left, and I've really changed a lot of the things that I focus on. And so I'm a big believer in that, our future and our destiny is what we make it, and that every choice we make has an outcome. And I chose to be bitter, and I chose to be upset and just kind of sulk about it and not do anything. And now, I look at it, I'm like, I'm not angry. I grew and I learned from that, and I learned, what not to do and what to do. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I'd be different about it. And so again, like, no hard feelings towards him. I don't want people to think that I'm still, 10 years later, like, oh, this a-hole, because that's not how I feel. I'm like, you know what, he's the top guy for a reason, and if that's how things were handled, that, more power to him, man.
I mean, on the flip side of that, you could kind of, when he started off, there might have been times where he might not have understood certain things. And I guess if you approach people the right way, you're going to get a better relationship, and it's more encouraging for you. I guess the last thing you needed was to be made to feel stupid or, like a child.
Well, no adult likes that.
Yeah.
No man especially likes to be treated like a child and told what to do and have a finger wagged at him. So it hurts the pride more than anything. But again, if I had chosen to do different things and if I had responded differently, then the outcome would have been different. So no big deal. It happened. So he's still there. He's doing movies. He's doing fine. So one guy being bitter over him, it's not going to make a difference. And I'm not hoping to make a difference. It's just, that's just what happened, and it's just a chapter in my book, and I've moved on.
And with, talking about moving on, obviously, when you were released from WWE, did that come as a shock to you? Did they just come to you and say, look, we're not renewing your contract?
Oh, no. I actually was one of very few people to walk out. So,
wow. Yeah.
So Hawkins and I were getting our push, and we had done that stripper gimmick. I'm sure if you didn't remember, we had a really interesting re-debut as strippers. We had like the underwear kind of tights on and Keytron. It was after Ryback's Money in the Bank match where Hawkins and I were chosen to do the 2-on-1 with him, and it went really good. We did what they wanted. We made Ryback look like a monster without literally jobbing out to him. The idea was to give him a challenge, and we did that, and it worked out perfect. Hunter was super happy with it. And we went to talk to him about it afterwards. Like, Hunter, did that go the way that you wanted? I was like, yeah, that was great. Thanks, guys. Like, by the way, have you guys seen Magic Mike? Well, I'm like, And Hawkins just looks at me. He's like, oh, no. Oh, no, dude. And he's like, I know. I want you guys to go watch that movie. I got an idea. And so from there, it basically developed. He goes, look, man, we want you to do this, like, dancing kind of stripperish gimmick. He goes, the guys are going to hate it. The girls are going to love it. But he goes, who cares how you get over? He's like, once you're over and they know you, we can change your gimmick. He's like, let's do this, get you over, roll with it. So I looked at Hawkins, and he looked at me like, okay, you got it. Whatever you want, Hunter, we'll do it. We just want to make it work. So we went and I know this is kind of off topic, but it's leading into me and why I left. We went and we asked the company for dance lessons. So here he is in, Hawkins is in Queens. I'm in San Francisco area. We both went and got like dance lessons so we could figure out how to be like male strippers on our days off. So that's what we were doing. We're spending time at the studio figuring out a routine. They coordinated the routine between states. So his coach was teaching the same thing that my coach was teaching us. And we kind of got together in a hotel room. And we were like practicing in the hotel room. And so, we debut, or before we debut, we talked to Kevin, then we talked to Vince. We had a meeting with Vince, and like, he was super high on it. Okay, this is our push. Like, this is the machine getting behind us. And for Hawkins and I, the writing was kind of on the wall. We're like, this could be a title run. This could be what we've been waiting for. But what was happening is I have a daughter, and she was 8 months old at the time, and I was gone a lot, like too much for a dad. And I didn't want to be a FaceTime dad. We had SummerSlam the week before I quit, or the weekend that I quit. I quit on a Monday. Slam was Sunday. Brought the wife, brought Priscilla and Mia along because it's supposed to be a family event. But it was just difficult. Like, my daughter was super young. She wanted to spend time with me. Priscilla thought we were going to be spending time together, but I had to go do autographs or an access match or this or that. It was more like a work weekend. She didn't really get a chance to see me. And at one point, we just kind of looked at each other, and my parents were actually driving back from Southern California. They were visiting my brother, and they live in Northern California. And they called, like, hey, we're driving through LA. Do you want us to swing by? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Please come say hi. And that was, I think it was Saturday night or Sunday morning before the show. But we talked, and I was just like, do you want to go home? Is this too hard for you? She's like, actually, this is really difficult trying to take care of Mia, and she wants to see you. I'm like, okay, look, you want to hop in with my folks? She's like, yeah, let's do that. And it wasn't hard feelings between Priscilla and I. My folks were happy to do it to help out, but it was more of me realizing this is tough. This is the moment where I decide family or work. Like, what do I want to do? And it hit me like the next day at Slam. I wasn't working. I wasn't on the show, and I just kind of spent a lot of time by myself, just thinking about what I had been doing with my life and where it was going. And there was a lot of negativity backstage, which I'm sure you know is very prominent today. And I was not feeling like this is where I wanted to be. Even though Hawkins and I were getting the push, I just wasn't feeling it. And so I called Priscilla. When Slam ended, we drove to Fresno. And I said, hey, Hawkins, I'm going to drive by myself if that's cool. He said, yeah, no problem. I called my wife, Priscilla, and I said, babe, I think I'm going to quit. And she asked why. And I told her, and she said, hey, I support you 100%. And so the next day, I talked to Jane Geddes, who was the head of talent relations at the time. And I said, hey, Jane, I need to talk to you today before the show. Like, absolutely before the show. It's super important. Yeah, no problem. So she sets up a meeting. I walk into her office, and she said, well, what's up, Gabe? What can I do for you? And I just, like, I quit. Just like that. And she looks at me. She's like, what? Because, you know, she knows what's going on with the push and everything. She's like, now? You're quitting now? I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm like, I'm happy to, you know, if you want me to play out a storyline for Hawkins, like, I have no hard feelings about this to anybody. Yeah. I told her why I was leaving. I said, I'm happy to work a couple weeks and, you know, make sure that storyline just doesn't drop off, whatever we're creating here. I'm happy to do, if you guys want to do an exit storyline or something. Like, I wasn't relevant enough to do an exit storyline, but I was just offering.
Yeah.
No, let me talk to Hunter and see what's up. So Hunter told her, he's like, oh, let him go. It's okay. I get it. So that was basically it. I just told him why I was leaving, and she's like, okay, you're free to go, man. Say bye. Stick around as long as you want, or you can take off whenever you want. And I drove home that night, and that was it. I decided to be a dad instead of, you know, being a semi-famous wrestler. That was the best decision I ever made. Like, I got home, and the next day, the next day, my kid took her first steps, and I was there for her. So solidified everything that I was doing was correct.
So normally, kind of the question I'd follow up with, you know, with it being such a big company and a regular income, I would have said, do you regret that? But listening to that, how could you? Because it's the perfect decision to make, and you've done the right thing. And I think that's something that you know, should always remember growing up, that you sacrificed everything to be that dad. You know, and a lot of people, you know, don't.
She does. She knows that I used to wrestle, and, you know, we've had the talk where she goes, Dad, why did you quit? And I told her, I was like, because I wanted to be with you. And, you know, I get this big hug every time, and it's like, I'm getting choked up as we're talking about it. You know, you mentioned the pay, and even though the pay wasn't great, I was grateful for what I got. I'm sure most people understand that wrestlers in the beginning don't get paid a lot, and we pay for all of our own road expenses. So you really get, you know, Uncle Sam takes a third of all that. So you really get like half of what you're actually being paid. And it just wasn't worth the pain and the distance. But, you know, leaving that is always hard. And for most people, it's like, that's all they've ever known. For me, I was lucky enough to have a fallback, and I started a business, but it was so interesting. Things didn't really start taking off for me until 2015. So when I quit in 2012, there was 3 years of, like, really trying to get on my feet. And it's like you said, the money thing, it was paying the bills. And so I went from that to borrowing money from my parents, just trying to survive. But you know, all that, I wouldn't trade it. Like, those are the struggles that make you stronger. And when we were struggling financially afterwards, I was still with my family. I was still seeing my daughter every day and my wife every day. And it made it all worth it.
I think if anyone watches your YouTube videos, that kind of is testament to the strength that you've got over the years, because you're able to kind of give advice to people now. And I've watched quite a few of them, and a lot of them about making your own destiny and, you know, the millionaire and the billionaire situation. Does one work harder than the other? Absolutely not. So, you know, watching your videos kind of is a testament to the strength that I think you've got over the years, and, you know, you're giving it back to people now.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's, you know, there's a satisfaction that goes with being able to grow and progress, like, spiritually and emotionally, and being able to handle just life. And I'm not by any means saying that I have a handle on life, because I don't. But I feel like I may have some things to offer people that have been where I have been previously, and been through experiences like struggling financially and feeling like you're stuck in a situation. And then all the things that I was able to figure out and do to free myself from that, and allow myself to live in a really positive state, whether, you know, the world is crumbling outside, or finances are crumbling, or your marriage is in shambles, or whatever it might be. You know, to take and understand that situation, and how to find a positive path, or a path that leads to a positive outcome, where you're constantly in a grateful state, and you're constantly in a positive state. And if I can share that with people and I can change somebody's life because of it, that's the ultimate fulfillment for me.
So what do you do now then? Obviously, since leaving wrestling, you've kind of stepped away from that. So what do you actually do now to keep busy and, in regards to work?
I own a company called Body Spartan, and it started back in 2013. My brother actually became addicted to methamphetamines. My only brother was 5 years younger than me. It sucked, man. He committed suicide. He shot himself. It was a bad situation. It sucked. And what I did is, he had called me about 2 months before, and he was high on meth. I didn't know a lot about the drug, but he was out of his mind. And I was upset because he had done some things over the past year that really kind of harmed the family a little bit. He didn't mean to. It was all because of the drugs, which really sucks, man. And we didn't know at the time. And I was kind of bitter about it. And he asked me to fly down from Northern California to where he was living in Southern California. But he was really high and it was not making any sense. And I was mad. Like, no, you know what? Get sober. Talk to me when you're sober. And I hung up on him. And that was 2 months before Christmas. He called us on Christmas Day to FaceTime. And I was still kind of like, I don't really want to talk to him. And just kind of waved from across the room, was like, hi. And the next day he shot himself. And so I missed the opportunity to help him. And I swore after that, I was like, I will never miss another opportunity to help someone. And so when I was, shortly after he died, for anybody that's ever lost somebody, they can relate. Like, if your mind is still, like when you sit down to relax, or just the day's over from work, that's when all the thoughts just flood in your mind about whoever you lost. And so what I did to avoid that and just becoming a total mess is I just put pen to paper and started writing a book. I was like, what am I good at? Like, I'm good at lifting weights and bodybuilding and fitness. I'm really, really good at that. And I can help people by doing that. So I wrote an ebook, literally like in Microsoft Word, and I PDF'd it, and we put it up on the internet. And we're like, okay, let's try this. And I think I sold like 2 books, like $9.99. I think I sold 2 to my wrestling fans, and I had all these followers. And it's funny. It goes to show that like wrestling fans are not fitness fans. So there was no transition. But it was never about the money. It was always just about trying to help people, because I had this other business with digital marketing I was doing. It was kind of not doing good, and I was still borrowing money from my parents. And this was just, I just want to help people. And that's what it was always about. It was always wanting to help people. So we put it out there, and we started filming on our iPhones, of all things. Me and my buddies just started filming some workouts, and we clipped together some videos and did some voiceovers. And one of them just like took off like a rocket, and it went viral. It was all about, we all, like you said, we all have 24 hours in a day, and it's how you choose to use that 24 hours that will dictate your future. And it was this, I think it was like a 5-minute motivational video, and it went viral. It was crazy. And from that point on, we started to sell little apparel. We had like these cool little stringer hoodies and stuff we sold. And again, never about the money. We just kept dumping it back into the business. And at the end of the year, I looked at that and like, oh, cool, we made $6,000, but I can't live on that. And then I started thinking, like, well, how else can we help? How do we make this easier? What else can we do? I don't want to sell apparel. I don't feel like I'm helping people. I feel like we have a little side project that's fun, and people understand our values. Like, we never asked anything. I'm really sorry. I got
no problem.
My Ring doorbell going off here. I have my phone on because we're on tornado watch right now out here in Texas. So
well, okay, that's scary.
It's not an actual tornado yet. There's a pretty good potential. So I had it on. But yeah, I really couldn't help people. We were putting the videos out, and we were never asking anything. It was just, here's good information. Here's a motivational video. Here's a video of us working out. And here's how we can help you. And we never, ever asked anything. And I really think that's where we gained a foothold. And when we decided to take the ebook and turn it into an actual program, we did motivational, or not motivational, it is, we did instructional videos. We took all the custom nutrition that we had, and we had it programmed into a dashboard, and we locked it down. And when you purchased it, then you got access to it. And we stuck it out there, and it just like, we were the first ones to bring the keto diet to the internet. We've been doing keto for, God, since we were in our 20s. It was a really popular bodybuilding secret. And internet wasn't big, so like you had to be in the bodybuilding world to know about keto. And so nobody even thought to like put it out there. So we were the first ones to bring it to the internet. And so it took off like a rocket. And that's when things became fairly successful. And we were able to take that and basically, man, we've got 8 programs now that we have. So it's all in the site. We've got a monthly subscription, and they're all in-gym programs. They all come with custom nutrition. They all come with instructional videos. They're all different. Some of them are keto. Some of them are intermittent fasting. But it takes you from start to finish. And like, basically it's like training with me or with one of my brand ambassadors. Like I've got David Larson on the wall over here. I've got Brian Cage. He did our Forge 5X program. So we've got a lot of guys and girls that have done programs with us, and it's been amazing. And then since the lockdown started and all the gyms closed, what we've been doing is, since our subscribers don't have, they don't have the ability to go to the gym, I thought, well, I can't go to the gym either. So I'll pick up a set of resistance bands, and I screwed a bunch of hooks in my wall, and we film a daily workout. So I'm literally getting my workout in, my real workout, and we're filming it, and then we're putting it up every single day in a video for people to follow along with. So that's Body Spartan in a nutshell, man. We've got a supplement line too. We've expanded in an attempt to help people progress. I avoided a lot of the, what's the word I want to say? The trends with supplements where it's just like, oh, let's go get this because it's popular. Let's get this because it's popular. We never did that. We ended up going the all natural route. So we've got our protein that's 100% grass-fed whey, no lactose response because it's so pure. We've got just plain old creatine monohydrate because, there's 30,000 different types of creatine out there. Everybody says theirs is the best. And I've been using that stuff since I was 18. I'm like, there's no difference. Get the cheap stuff, it works really good. So we've got stuff like that. We've got a supplement line to support all the programs, and that's basically what we do. We go film social media workouts when the gyms are open, and we film a program every quarter for our members to follow along with. They're usually 10 or 12 week programs with custom nutrition, and we're out there changing lives daily. We're more than just fitness. We're all about motivation, as you mentioned earlier. We mentioned the YouTube videos. Like we try to put just solid, good content out there to motivate people on the weekly basis.
I think you unintentionally just done a really good advert for the Body Spartan when you lifted your arms up and you got massive arms.
I think like my fro doesn't show. I'm like, oh, there you go. It was a long night last night.
Going back to what you were saying, I mean, that tragic story that you were mentioning in regards to your brother, for a lot of people, it's kind of, unless you've been through, so say if you've, battled drugs or mental health or depression, it's so hard to understand how the other person's feeling if you've not been through that yourself. So for you, I know it must be one of those things where you have a lot of regrets, but also you've got to, as a human, a lot of people don't understand things. If you've never gone through depression, it's hard when a friend reaches out to you and you kind of don't get it.
Right.
So it's a really hard one, isn't it? So it's not, I can imagine something you regret, but again, you've done what everyone else would have.
Yeah, I do live with regrets, and I do live with the thought that every day I could have made a different choice.
Yeah.
And what it really boiled down to was me looking at it, and I don't blame myself for what he did. That was his choice. But again, it goes to my theory that we're in control of everything, and that if we want a certain outcome in life, the choices that we make dictate that outcome. The outcome we want is there. We can go reach out and grab it. We just have to find a path to it. And I've pondered this moment so many times, and it really boiled down to me just being selfish is really what it was, and caring so much about, or being so absorbed in like my work, trying to pay the bills, and that was important. And we all get caught up in this rat race, which it's interesting because we're all on lockdown now, or some people are coming out of it, but for the last 2 months there's been no rat race for a lot of people, and so life has slowed down. And if anything, I think people are probably understanding a lot more of the value of family. That they're on a forced vacation. It may be stressful for them, of course, and I get it. Like we're all under stress, like finances, nobody's working, but you're understanding the value of family, and you're seeing for this short blip of time, look at all the things I'm missing. And is money and work really that important? Should I have taken more time? And when I look back on that, I go, you know what? I should have just flown down. I was selfish, and I was mad, and I'm like, that was a choice I made. And unfortunately, I feel like I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but sometimes things need to happen to grow. And I don't want to say that needed to happen, but I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't lose my brother. I would still be that selfish person I was in 2013. When he asked me to fly down, I would be absorbed in myself and not looking to help other people. And so, out of tragedy came something beautiful, is the way I look at it.
Well, Gabe, thank you so much for, coming on the show to talk about your career, but also to be so open and honest in some of the things that you've been through in your personal life, being a dad, the loss of your brother. So thank you for letting us in and talking to us today.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you having me.
Brilliant. Thank you.